Hello. I don't know, um, really where the thought I just had came from. I think maybe it's because I'm playing this game on Roblox. Um, but imagine if all your memories were marbles and you, being yourself, was placed in with those marbles. You would expect that you would be able to find your marble, the one that's going ongoing in the present, quickly. But that might not be the case. There might be many marbles of that same color. There might be many marbles of that same shape or size. And eventually, if you're not looking for something or if it doesn't have a defining feature, you might lose which marble is yours. You would still know that it was in there somewhere. You just wouldn't know where it is because with all the memories of marble, with all the memories being added and more marbles going into it every second or something, you would still know that yours is in there, the one that's ongoing in the present. But since it keeps updating with each new memory, you wouldn't know which one it really was, or if it even would exist anymore. Because eventually, with the amount of marbles being added, there's no way to point out future marbles. You only know that there's past marbles in there, and then there's one marble, the present, which you have no control over. You don't know what it looks like, you don't know what it is. You just know that it exists, but you can't pinpoint where it is because you might have been so focused on something else that you forgot what it looked like. You might have forgot which color it was. You might have forgotten what size. But after all, you would still know it was in there. You just wouldn't know where. And if you had to pick up a marble, trying to find it again, it's more than likely you would pick up a memory instead of the present. I think often a lot of people only think about either the past or the future. They don't think about the present. They really only think about what has already happened and what is going to happen. Because in reality, why would anyone want to think of the present? Because in the present, you already know what's happening and you can't control it. But you might be able to control what happens in the future, not the past. The past has already happened, and many people say that it shapes your future, but they often forget that it can also shape your present. It can shape how you experience things. But at the same time, you can change that if you can pinpoint which it is. So if you had to pick a marble out of any of them, hoping that it would be your present marble, then maybe you would want to, maybe you wouldn't. Maybe you wouldn't want to pick the marble of the present because you know stuff that has already happened in it that you don't want to think about, or stuff make like maybe a parent passing, a pet passing, something bad happening. You wouldn't want to go find and live in the present marble because you know that what already was done, and you have to live with the guilt of what happened. In a way, it plays into, I think, survivor's guilt. I survivor's trauma. I don't know the word. I don't have a script for this video. It's just whatever came up on my mind. In a way, it plays into survivor's guilt. I think that's the word. Please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Because in reality, you might be reminded every day of what happened. You might be reminded of what you couldn't save. But you know that if you picked up that marble of that certain memory, you wouldn't be able to change it. Not because you don't want to, but because it was already the past. And you cannot shape the past in the way that you can shape your future. Often people say that, or from what I've heard, they say that you shaped your past. You were responsible for it. But in reality, that's not true. You're not responsible for anything that happened in your past unless you were sure it was you who did it. But if the entire world was a sea of marbles and each of those marbles were a separate memory, you wouldn't know which one was the past. You wouldn't know which one was the future. You wouldn't know which ones were the present. And when you finally learn which ones are, it would be scary, almost. Because if you have your future marbles in there, if you have your future memories in there, then you know that something in your present that is going to become a memory shaped it. But you cannot control which one got shaped that way. You can't control many things about it. And even if you could, if anyone could shape how their memories were, they would choose pretty obvious things. Probably having them be rich, having them have a successful job, or maybe even preventing the death of a loved one. But no one really thinks, like, I've seen that, oh, if you have a time machine, like the TARDIS in Doctor Who, you could go back and shape it. But technically you couldn't, because it would shape the past in the way you shape the past would shape the future. So, in reality, everyone, the only thing they can do is live in the present. But no one really wants to, because you can't expect what's on in the future, and like the last hour, the last second, the last minute is now the past. Because there's not really a limit to what someone considers the past. You could say the past is like 5 years ago. Oh, no, I accidentally activated emergency call on my phone, whoopsies. You could say that I forgot what I was gonna say. And in reality, everything technically is a marble. And it's going on a infinite track. The beginning is your birth, and the end is your death. And each marble is a memory. But you can't control any of it. And even if you could, you would have to either change the past or the future. Which isn't possible. You can shape your future differently. But if everything was a set out event, if everything was set so that it's they knew I forgot what I was gonna say.